Hi, and welcome to Wall Street Today. I'm your host, Zach Viscomi, and I'm joined by a special guest today, Matt Nordmann. Matt Nordmann, thanks for coming on.
Hey, great to be here, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were talking a little bit behind stage just about you and your story, and you've got a really interesting story of even what brought you here with your dad being in the NBA and stuff like that, and you played basketball yourself. So tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So do you ever have that larger-than-life figure in your life? Well, for me, that was my dad. And so when I say that, he was 6'10", 275, huge man.
That's big.
And so what inspired me was the dedication, hard work, and how he helped others. And so I wanted to get into a field, the financial services industry, where I could help a lot of people. And so that was the inspiration for me to try to emulate every day. And now imagine this larger-than-life figure when you hear just unbelievable news. And so for me, that was, I'll never forget the day, it was July 13th, 2015, and went with him to a doctor's appointment where he got the news, and the doctor, as bluntly as possible, said, "You got 6 months to live." And so as you can imagine, it's a gut punch, and asked him, we got out of there, "What are you gonna do now?" He said, "Well, first I'm gonna buy an Apple Watch." And then he said, "I'm gonna get busy planning the rest of my life." And so for me, it really, after doing this for 25 plus years, it really hit home I want to get busy helping people plan the rest of their lives so they can live whatever their amazing life of significance is for them.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you brought up though too, because a lot of people, I would imagine, they're accumulating their wealth, or they're building up these assets in these pools, and then like the time comes and they're like, well, now I've got to plan the rest of my life, right? There's not a whole lot for what happens next, and so when you're given a diagnosis like that, it's kind of like, oh, well, now I should. So it makes sense that you want to help people before they get to that point, right?
Exactly. And so unfortunately for my dad, it was 6 weeks. And so whether it's 6 weeks, months, or decades, it's what is it that you want to achieve? What are the things that you want to do? And most people, their goal is to do three things: is to take care of their loved ones, the causes they care about, and make a difference in their community and world at large.
Yeah. Now, you're a certified financial planner, you're a managing partner at your firm, and all of that sort of ties together to a unique process that you implement in your business. And just want to know a little bit more about what really sets you apart and your team.
It's a great question. So most people who call themselves, whether it's plan or whether they've achieved that CFP designation or planner, advisor, whatever it is, most of them will do some sort of investment consulting, and that's about where they stop. And they don't really take into account the wealth enhancement, wealth transfer, wealth protection, charitable giving, and then surrounding themselves with a team to work together for all those things that are most important to them. It's kind of siloed information instead of really everybody getting around the table specifically for you.
Yeah, that's true. So it's like, I myself have to find somebody to do my estate planning, and then, your tax mitigation stuff. And it's like, they're like, oh, well, I don't do that. You got to go to this person or that person.
Exactly.
And so you have the opportunity to really provide all of those things through the different relationships and stuff that you have.
Well, that's right. So imagine you had $500 million or more on staff. You would have the accountant and the tax attorney and the estate planner, and you probably have someone to pay your bills and manage your money and all these different, and maybe your travel arrangements. Well, you know what the problem is, Zach? Most people don't have $500 million.
That's true.
Right? And so how can we take what those super rich, or whatever term you want to use, and whatever strategies and tactics they're using, and bring that down to people who have had a level of success, but they can't afford to have all those people on staff, but they want all the coordination of all these experts.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We always hear all the time, you got to be able to pay to play, and those types of resources aren't available to me or whoever it might be. And so you've touched on this a few times. So who is your ideal client? Who's the type of person that you really enjoy serving?
It's a great question. So for us, it's really the people who have these complex situations, and sometimes people don't even realize how complex it is. What comes to mind is this couple that they started with a small business and they became extremely successful. But it got to the point where when we would have conversations, their sole focus was to get through the next 24, 48, or 72 hours, or get to Friday, get to Friday, get to Friday. And so it's like they want to spend more time with their kids and then grandkids, and it's like, okay, how do we bring about all these experts? And so it's that complexity that they don't even realize because they're so focused on the two most important things, their family and their business.
Yeah.
And so it's, okay, all those other things need to be addressed, but don't have time for that.
And I bet that's very difficult for somebody who, has spent their life building a business, right? That's what they've done. It's their pride and joy, the assets that they've been able to accumulate over time. They've worked really hard for. And so it's really important to be able to trust somebody and trust them with what they've built. And I'm sure that's a pretty difficult transition for a lot of people. But because you can offer such a wide variety of solutions, I'm sure that makes it a lot easier for them as well.
It really does, and that's the first step with whatever experts that you work with. They should know you and what's most important to you and your concerns and how you like to work. Instead of just focusing on one aspect of it, it's really all about you and what it is that you're trying to achieve and understanding how those concerns play into that plan that you should have in place.
And so how do you do that? I mean, are you just do you interview these people? Do you sit what's the process that you kind of walk them through?
First step is what we call a discovery meeting. And we're going to ask you a lot of questions and really understand different aspects of your life, from what's most important to you, to your concerns, and other professionals that have worked well and not. And really, what do you enjoy doing, and what are the things that you want to do and achieve? And then say, okay, what one of three things comes out of that? We make a promise of, we're going to say, Zach, you're doing everything great, don't change anything. 2, you know what, there's some gaps in your plan, and here's what they are. We're not the right firm, but we're going to point you back to your existing team or recommend a team. Or 3 is we're going to say, hey, these are the gaps in your plan, and here's how we can help with that and take it to the next level.
That's great. Yeah, so you're all about helping people. That's first and foremost, obviously, then. And to circle back, I mean, it makes sense now in the way that you help people because of what you went through with your dad. And obviously you're doing it beforehand, but it makes sense how that really solidified, the work that you're doing is important, and it really has a great impact on people's lives.
Yes, you use the word impact, and that's where we really want to have a significant impact in people's lives, because like you had said earlier, with building what people have built, and so we want them to be able to focus on whether it's the transition to the next stage or really what's most important to them.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I ask everybody this question, and obviously, being successful yourself and having helped a lot of successful people, like you said, what would be your tip for advice for somebody who might be watching, or just to help them in thriving in today's economy?
Yeah, great. Good. Another good question. Surprise, right? Really, I would ask you to ask yourself one simple question. Are you 100% confident that the plan you have in place today is going to get you to where you want to go? Are you 100% confident? And if you're not 100% confident, get a second opinion. Go back to your existing team or seek out other experts to make sure that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. There was a survey that was done pretty recently that 85% of those that were surveyed said, I believe that I've outgrown my current advisor or my advisory team.
Wow.
And so when you hear that, you're like, okay, there's a certain level that you need to get to because you've achieved that level. So now make sure that your team is at that level or above.
Obviously, you've got a wealth of information that you can share, but it's really tailored to the individual. And so it's important for you to have that conversation with them. But if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, or if they wanted to find out more about your services or even where they should start, what would be the best way for them to do that?
One of two ways is go to the website, morrisonnordman.com, and on there you can click on, you can read a lot and got a lot of content on there, but you can click on a link to set up a call, or if you're the old school / traditional and you like to talk to someone, you can call 517-333-7967.
Excellent. Well, Matt, thanks so much for coming on today. It was a pleasure having you. Really excited for the impact that you're making in the lives of people, and hope you keep doing the great work. So thanks a lot for being on the show today.
Great to be here.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
And thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Wall Street Today.